Ma'am, can we get your name?
You guys are stopping me in a parking lot? What's this about?
Just need your name first, please.
Cassandra Mays.
Miss Mays, we got an anonymous tip. You don't have your complete immigration papers.
That's ridiculous. I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Ma'am, we're going to need you to turn around.
Picture this. It's a Friday evening. You've just finished your work week. You're walking to your car, keys in hand, thinking about dinner, maybe the weekend ahead. Normal, mundane, safe. Now imagine, in the next 60 seconds, your entire world turns upside down. What you're about to witness isn't a scene from a thriller. It's not a fictional drama designed to shock you. This is real body camera footage from January 14th, 2022, a date that would forever change one woman's understanding of freedom in America. Before we go further, let me be absolutely clear. The woman you're about to meet had committed no crime. She wasn't a suspect. She wasn't under investigation. She was simply leaving work. And yet what happens next will challenge everything you think you know about civil rights, due process, and the thin line between authority and abuse of power. If stories like this matter to you, if accountability, transparency, and justice are things you care about, hit that subscribe button now. Because we're diving deep into a case that cost the federal government $13 million to settle, and the question we need to ask is simple: was justice truly served? The location: a corporate parking lot in Cincinnati, Ohio. The kind you'd find in any American city, rows of vehicles catching the last light of winter dusk, employees trickling out after a long week, eager to reclaim their Friday evening. Among them is Cassandra Mays, a 38-year-old attorney dressed in corporate attire, navy coat, pressed trousers, crisp white shirt, professional, polished, unremarkable in every visible way, except for one detail that would soon matter more than anything else. She's a black woman in America. Watch carefully what happens next, because this is where procedure meets reality and the gap between the two becomes a chasm. The body camera activates. You hear it first, the crunch of boots on pavement, radio static crackling in the background, fragments of official jargon. 3 ICE officers are moving with purpose, not running, but deliberate, tactical. Their target? Cassandra Mays. Walking to her black Mercedes GLE, 3rd row, driver's side, 10 feet, 8 feet, 6 feet. She's reaching for her door handle when she senses them, that primal instinct we all have when something feels wrong. She turns, and there they are, 3 federal officers, positioned not beside her for conversation, not at a respectful distance for inquiry, but directly in front of her, blocking her path, arm's length away, her car door closed behind her, officers in front, vehicles on either side. No physical contact yet, no commands yet, but make no mistake. Movement is already constrained. This is what law enforcement calls a show of authority. What it feels like is a cage with invisible bars. Now, here's where this gets interesting and deeply troubling. Officer, ma'am, can we get your name? Simple question, right? But watch Cassandra's body language. She doesn't panic, doesn't flee. She does what every legal expert will tell you to do. She asks questions. Cassandra, you guys are stopping me in a parking lot. What's this about? Reasonable question. Constitutional question, actually. Under the 4th Amendment, you have the right to know why you're being detained. But here's what happens next. Officer, just need your name first, please. No explanation, no justification, just compliance demanded. She provides her name, Cassandra Mays, and then comes the bombshell, the reason that would later be dissected by lawyers, challenged in federal court, and ultimately expose systemic failures. Officer, Miss Mays, we got an anonymous tip. You don't have your complete immigration papers. Let that sink in for a moment. An anonymous tip. No verification, no corroboration, just an anonymous call claiming she, a woman who would shortly prove her citizenship beyond any doubt, doesn't have proper documentation. Her response is immediate and unequivocal. Cassandra, that's ridiculous. I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, if you're wondering whether officers can detain someone based solely on an anonymous tip, let me give you the answer. Not legally, no. Supreme Court precedent, specifically Florida v. JL, establishes that anonymous tips require independent corroboration before they justify a detention. Why? Because anonymous tips can be racially motivated, malicious, or completely fabricated, but we're not done yet. Because what Cassandra does next is critical. She doesn't just claim citizenship, she proves it, right there in the parking lot. She reaches into her bag, removes her wallet, and presents Ohio driver's license, government-issued ID with her photo, name, date of birth, address, Bar Association membership card, active attorney status in the state of Ohio. Now, think about that second credential for a moment. To become a licensed attorney in the United States, you undergo extensive background checks, federal and state database verification, citizenship confirmation during bar admission. You literally cannot practice law without clearing these hurdles. Cassandra Mays isn't just claiming citizenship, she's holding proof that she's already been vetted by the very government now questioning her status. Here's where this story should end. Officers radio for database verification. Takes 2 minutes, maybe 3. Records confirm citizenship. Apologies are offered. Everyone goes home. That's the procedure. That's the law. That's what should happen. But watch the timestamp. 52, 553, 554. No radio calls, no database checks, no supervisor contacted. Instead, Cassandra hears 4 words that will haunt this case. Officer: "Ma'am, we're gonna need you to turn around. The handcuffs come out." Cassandra: "Wait, what? I just showed you. I'm a U.S. citizen. What crime am I suspected of?" No answer. Just the metallic ratchet of handcuffs cinching tight. Her brown work bag drops to the pavement. Her keys, confiscated, placed in an evidence bag like she's a criminal suspect. The black Mercedes sits untouched. The bag lies against the tire, and Cassandra Mays, attorney, U.S. citizen, woman who did everything right, is escorted to an unmarked sedan. Other employees walk past. Some glance. Some keep walking. No one intervenes. Why would they? These are federal officers. This must be legitimate. Right? Wrong. The drive to the processing facility takes 17 minutes. Cassandra sits in the back seat, silent. The officers don't speak to her. Don't explain. Don't verify. They arrive at a federal building in downtown Cincinnati. Underground garage, concrete walls, fluorescent lighting. She's processed like any other detainee. Intake forms, biographical questions, moved to a holding area, concrete block walls, bench seating, bright overhead lights, no windows, and most importantly, hands still cuffed behind her back. And then, she waits. 6:18 p.m., 6:31 p.m., 6:45 p.m. An hour passes. No one enters. No one verifies her claims. She sits upright on that bench, hands restrained, and waits for someone to do what should have been done in the parking lot. At 7:03 p.m., over an hour into her detention, an administrative officer finally enters, but not to verify citizenship, to ask standard intake questions. Emergency contacts, medical conditions, next of kin? She answers every question calmly, professionally, and then the officer leaves, and she waits. 7:26 p.m., 7:41 p.m., 7:58 p.m. 2 hours now. 2 hours of her life disappeared into a holding cell for a verification that takes 3 minutes when someone finally bothers to do it. At 8:15 p.m., 2 hours and 28 minutes after initial contact, a different officer enters with a tablet. Database access, finally. Officer: "Can you repeat your full name?" Cassandra. Cassandra Marie Mays. Officer: "Date of birth?" Cassandra. December 3rd, 1983. Officer: "Place of birth?" Cassandra. Cincinnati, Ohio. Keystrokes. Screen transitions. Waiting. And then, every single thing she said in that parking lot is confirmed. U.S. citizen by birth certificate on file. Hamilton County, Ohio Social Security number issued in infancy. No immigration violations. No criminal history. Active attorney license. Current status, 3 minutes. That's how long verification took once someone actually initiated it. 3 minutes versus 2 hours and 28 minutes of unlawful detention. The officer with the tablet leaves. Cassandra remains seated. The timestamp continues. 8:21 p.m., 8:34 p.m., 8:47 p.m., 8:59 p.m. A supervisor finally enters. The handcuffs are removed. 4 words: "You're free to go." No apology, no explanation for the delay, no acknowledgement that anything wrong occurred. Cassandra asks the obvious question: how is she supposed to get back to her vehicle? Her keys are still logged as evidence. Her bag is still in that parking lot. Transportation is arranged. She's returned at 9:36 p.m. The parking lot is nearly empty now. That black Mercedes sits exactly where she left it 4 hours ago. Her bag still against the tire, exactly where it fell when the handcuffs went on. She unlocks the car, places her bag inside, sits in the driver's seat, but she doesn't start the engine immediately. Think about that moment. Sitting in her car, alone, in an empty parking lot, the interior light fading to black. What goes through your mind after an experience like that? Do you trust the system anymore? Do you feel safe? Do you believe in equal protection under the law? Cassandra Mays did what attorneys do. She fought back. She retained counsel and filed a federal lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Ohio. The claims: unlawful detention, Fourth Amendment violation, racial profiling, equal protection violation under the 14th Amendment, failure to follow procedure. Anonymous tip without corroboration discovery began. Body camera footage was produced. The same footage we've been analyzing. Training materials were subpoenaed. The anonymous tip was scrutinized. And here's what investigators found. No documentation exists explaining why the tip was considered credible. No corroborating evidence was obtained before contact. No attempt was made to verify citizenship before arrest. Depositions were conducted. Officers testified under oath. Their recollections were compared to the footage. Inconsistencies emerged. Justifications didn't align with policy. Expert witnesses, former federal agents, immigration law specialists, constitutional scholars reviewed the footage. The consensus was unanimous. Standards were not met. The agency calculated their risk, litigation costs, potential jury verdict, reputational damage. They made a decision. Let that number resonate. $13 million. That's what the federal government paid because officers couldn't be bothered to make a 3-minute database check before handcuffing a U.S. citizen. The officers involved, not terminated, not prosecuted, reassigned. Policy revisions were recommended. Training materials were updated. Whether they prevent future violations remains an open question. So let me ask you the questions that matter. How many similar encounters never make it to cameras? How many people don't have professional credentials to present? How many lack resources to pursue litigation? How many result in deportation despite citizenship? How many fade into anonymous data points in some bureaucratic report? Cassandra Mays got justice, $13 million worth. But she also got something else. 4 hours of her life she'll never get back, and the knowledge that everything she'd been told about rights and protections can vanish in a parking lot on a Friday evening. This case is closed. The settlement is paid. But the question remains open. When will the next Cassandra Mays walk to her car, keys in hand, expecting normalcy, and find something else entirely? If this story matters to you, subscribe to this channel, share this video. Because these stories don't change systems, you do. Your attention, your outrage, your demand for accountability, that's what creates change. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Where do you stand on cases like this? Because one thing is certain, the parking lots remain, the buildings remain, and somewhere, right now, someone is leaving work, not knowing if tonight they'll make it home.